I'm just getting myself situated and hoping that the lighting doesn't have too much glare on this part of the table. Hence why this is always in screenshot if anyone's ever been super curious. How are you folks? For anyone who's joining live who doesn't know what I'm about to do, I've just got a new deck which I have gone through and checked, and I will tell you for why in a minute, but otherwise I haven't used it, it's still in order, all of that good stuff. And I want to see if it pairs well with any of the decks I've got, so I'm just going to do a little bit of a playing with pairs. I wanted to test the internet now for lives, just if I want to do any in future. Hey Ingrid, it's lovely to see you, my dear. How's the sound and how's the visual quality, if you don't mind indulging me? But yes, this is my first new deck of the year, but it felt like just a very good opportunity whilst I'm sitting by myself. A little bit snotty, I confess, because I've been unwell, but hopefully that won't travel through the mic. It sounds fine, good. I just thought it would be a nice time to test lives for the coming year, because we've messed around with the internet stuff a lot in the house. And it gives me an opportunity to do something rather chill. I am very, very sore and lots of boring things, of which I won't talk about too much. And also this house is a little bit of a lighting nightmare as well. So we're just going to see how it goes, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. I'll let you know how the quality is as you are. You're a star, Ingrid, an absolute star, thank you. So I have some, hopefully this won't get outshot too much either. I have some decks, I mean, we might not try them all, we'll see how time goes, but I've got about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oh my gosh, I've got like 9 or 10 decks. We can't do a playing with pairs with that many, so I'll see what I'm called to. Perhaps people can let me know what they're thinking as well. But I was really excited for the World of Warcraft deck, so let's get it out and have a look at it whilst I talk about it. It's, I think, a pretty recent release actually. When you get the deck, it actually comes upside down, but it's not, the outside's in plastic, but the deck is not then in more plastic, which is great. We do like minimising that. And it's an incredibly affordable mass market deck, at least here in the UK, because this was £20, just shy. And I had a little bit of unexpected Christmas money, so which I still have £5 left because the deck was so cheap. So I am an old World of Warcraft gamer. I can no longer play PC games due to my particular type of pains, that a lot of which come from like postural stuff and repetition as well. So unfortunately I had to leave the World of Warcraft, of which I'd played for over a decade, and whilst I wouldn't say I was up there in the top class of gamers, I really, really loved it. And without boring you all, if you're a gamer, then this will make sense to you. If you're not, perhaps think of a hobby that's really felt fulfilling in some certain areas of your life. The fantasy, the distraction, the story, the vast type of approach that I felt I could take to playing the game, and it not just be all like constant raids and dungeons, was really, really cathartic, really enjoyable, really immersive. And quite honestly, after years of not being able to play it, it's, when people talk about it, I get a little bit more emotional than I would like to confess. So I was not sure about this deck, and then I thought, you know what, this world meant quite a lot to me, and I actually think it will be really fun. Interestingly, and 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗎 has already said this in one of her videos, because I know that she definitely has the deck. They've gone for a very sort of like watercolour pastel kind of vibe, and for me, when I think of World of Warcraft, I think of really sort of saturated contrast colours. So it's an interesting route to have taken, but from sort of a first look, I'm pretty impressed with the deck. And we are going to do the pair thing. Hey Lennox, hey, how are you? If anyone's got any questions about it, do feel free to ask, because I don't tend to do that whole, this is the size of the deck, this is the card stock, blah blah blah. So if you want to know, then ask. The guidebook, I think this is an Insight Editions. I'm sure someone said that. Oh no, Titan books. That's not Insight Editions, is it? Right. That's perhaps why the pips are fully illustrated, fully scenic rather. I can't say I'm blown away by what I've read from the guidebook, but in the major arcana, they do detail who every single individual is. So for the Fool, I'll just read you one really quickly. It says, the Fool is the one who walks alone in the world, heedless of its dangers. Although he travels with confidence, he is ill prepared for where his wanderings shall lead him. He travels light, relying on his own wit and skill to overcome whatever adversity he happens upon. The embodiment of this is 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗄𝗏, the Black Prince. For although his ambitions are both grand and noble, they can, at times, be dangerous and naive. And then you have an upright and a reverse. I do think that the major arcana is written nicer than the rest. That doesn't feel like a good word, but that's what we're going with. The upright says, a sense of hope and endless possibilities abounds. Each tomorrow brings a new chance to shape your destiny. Have confidence that things can be changed with determination and initiative. Reversed, the person in question is being a fool, with no forethought, no planning, no contemplation, just the reckless and callous actions of the unwise. Such brazen actions will most certainly lead to disaster. Really, what I want to do is just be reminded who everyone is. It's been a long time. There is a lot of World of Warcraft lore, characters. I only have the first Chronicle book. I want the other 3. I spent a long time having a gap and deciding whether I wanted the books or not, because I couldn't play the game. But throughout it says each of them. Oh, of course I landed on one that I can't pronounce, which is another beautiful thing about me on World of Warcraft. Temperance is 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, Lifebinder and Dragon Queen. I really was hoping that one of the dragons was going to be, and I think it's pronounced 𝗕𝗎₻ or 𝗕𝗎𝗻. And there's, if anyone's played World of Warcraft, there's a dragon cinematic which I watched not long after our girl geckos had died many years ago actually, and it was such a powerful cinematic that the World of Warcraft ones, they take a while sometimes. I think it was a good 5 minutes, and I was absolutely in tears by the end of it. That's all I'm going to say. Favourite dragon by far in World of Warcraft. Really powerful. So, yeah, the books are not too bad. As for, I imagine there's going to be a lot of World of Warcraft fans who aren't necessarily tarot readers. So it's going to give them enough. But the minors go through as sort of familiar looking characters, and you could definitely assume or decide who they were perhaps, but it really stops at that. And I think, I didn't check the cults actually, but I think the cults are the same. Yep, the cults are the same, so it doesn't tend to specify who they are except from this cult. And I know it says something in particular in here because I thought it was a weird depiction. So it says, where is it? Here you find the avatar of ambition, which from memory I'm assuming they're literally referencing something in the game. The cults cards intro does that usual thing of telling people that the cults are to do with other people. I'm just here to say that that's not necessarily the case, but you can read how you want to read. But solid little book. Blizzard have at least put their sticker on it, so I'm assuming they were minorly involved, and I'm pretty impressed from what I've seen so far. It has these, what's the term I want? It's like a gold foil stamping, right? Which is good because my only initial aesthetic moan, as it were, which is so minor, I'm only sharing it because I am, is that some of the foil stamped borders are really off center. And there's some ink stain on like parts of a few cards, but it's very faint for the most part, especially it will be on camera. And because it's foil and they're really gentle, I don't really feel like it's going to notice too much. And it is only £20 for what I feel is really good quality. Also, look, my horrible overhead lighting will help us. The back has that, I can't remember what this sort of coating is called, but essentially it's got like a gloss coating over this bit and then the edges, and then the rest is matte like the front of the cards. So it's really high quality for an absolutely impressive price. It's very impressive, and it's really, really stunning. Perhaps I'll take you through the majors because I assume people would rather see it with pairs. But I'll take you through just maybe a few of them, or we'll quickly go through them. Oh, you can tell that I've been through these, see, apologies. It isn't usually my style, so to speak. It's interesting, like I like the beige-ish sort of colour, and I have a hell of a lot of decks that look like that, but the very watery pastel vibe as a duo isn't something that I've realised I have really in any of my decks. Definitely gonna struggle to pair this one, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this pairs. Lennox says the artwork reminds me of what would be on a loading screen or something. Yes, it does have that vibe, doesn't it? I would have loved to have seen one with the very familiar World of Warcraft artwork on it. One of my favourite characters. And yes, if you're curious, I used to play a night elf pretty much predominantly. I had a druid one who was my main for the longest time. And then what did I move over to? A warlock. Oh, crap. What was that one that you started on like 50 on that I think came out around the 𝗕𝗵𝗂? It was a different class. I absolutely forget. They had like green flaming eyes. You can tell I've actually sort of tried to give away my knowledge of it because I'm a soppy sod and it was making me really sad. I know, you can judge me, it's okay. Look at these two together. Are they not everything? Death Knight. Thank you. Lennox is saying for the Horde. Yes, I was Alliance. I did play Horde on a different server with a friend occasionally. But I was introduced to the game by Alliance playing people. So that's how that happened. And whilst I do like a Blood Elf, I have to say there was something... I felt a little bit more seen by the Night Elves. They felt a little bit more... magical and also robust. I'm just going to keep flicking through them and people can get the general idea of the deck. You can see that the colours sort of go for a couple, usually just blending in together, so about 3 main colours in each card. Occasionally there seems to be one more colourful, and for the most part it feels very Rider-Waite-Smith complementary. What else did I think a monk was then my favourite one for a while, you know. You don't mind the meanings in the guidebook, but I do want to know what's on the card. Yeah, but I think they've intentionally, or rather, is it too mean to say lazily, not done characters for the rest of them? Although, again, we're relying on probably one of the worst memories to decipher whether they're legit characters or just inspired by characters. You've got to love the jailer for death though, right? You wasn't into WoW, so watching this for the tarot. Oh, I love that. That's good then. Well, you're not going to learn too much WoW content from me today, but this is the jailer, I know that much. And there are a lot of a lot of dragons in World of Warcraft, which, glorious, glorious. I love this character for the devil, and I remember who they are, but I can't remember the name, so bear with, because... Oh, that's why. I'm not even going to be able to say that. Because if you play the game a lot, then you hear the names, and it's different. And my company, thank you. Yes, the night elves are definitely cute. Star card. I have to say, I was this is Sylvanas, no? The moon. Yeah, Sylvanas Windrunner. 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗆 for the memory. This is a really beautiful one, actually, and the write-up for this, I watched a gamer read out just the other day, and it was lovely. Like the meaning part. Sun, judgment, and then the world, and then we move into, so I'll just show you, look, they are definitely illustrated the whole way through, and as I say, pretty 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗆 without being on the nose. And the reason that I went through them in the way that I did is because I ordered it pretty much after watching 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗆 video, and no, I'm not usually like that, but I had forgotten. I'd had it in my wish list for ages, and then it disappeared. And actually sometimes the wish list thing does this, like, it's available from a different store or a different shop, like the thing that I've got set up, and it just says it's not available anymore. And I was like, oh, maybe it's not coming out, because that's happened to me in the past. And then Dawn showed it, and I was like, yep. getting it. And I'm not commonly an unboxer anyway, as most people will know. So I opened it by myself, and then I went through it, and the last card was missing, which is the King of Pentacles. I went through the deck like 5 times, and nope, it was just clean missing out of my deck. So I managed to get a replacement, which came reasonably quick, I thought, and everything's in there. So yeah, I think that this is going to be a really interesting one to try and pair, because I've looked. I basically, not because I'm about to just buy another deck, definitely not. In fact, I'm thinking about doing another little bit of a declutter. It sounds like such a mean word, but it's spring clean is kind of too early. But I wanted to see what sort of decks are out there, because I don't want to ruin Dawn's video, but one of the two she paired I felt artistically was beautiful, but it's only got 30 something cards, and I'm a little bit of an Oracle snob. I don't mind, obviously Lenormand has a set amount, Rune decks are going to have a really small amount, but if it's just a standard Oracle, I really like 50 cards. I will accept 44, 42 at a push, but I have so many decks that I don't like to pay that much money for such a minimal amount of cards. And I was looking for ones that sort of match this artwork, and quite honestly, I couldn't find very many at all. It seems to not be a very common style. This is not going to be a great first shuffle. I just wanted to give it the opportunity to at least have a little bit of a mix-up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start playing with some pairs. Now, contrary to what I've just said, before you think I'm a hypocrite, I'm about to pull out a deck as well at some point that most people have probably never seen. And it's only got 12 cards in it. But it was a gift from my brother, which is why I have it. It was a surprise gift, because there's no way I'd have paid that much money for 12 cards. He'd be crazy, but it was a beautiful gift, and it's actually from a game that he plays, not one that I play. But we sit and go through the cinematics together sometimes, and I sit and read the lore from some of his books. I know that sounds really strange for someone who doesn't play the game, but honestly, if you like fantasy stuff but at all, then the lore in some of these games is absolutely outstanding. The artwork, the cinematics, the whole kit and caboodle. It's really, really impressive. So I thought that I would get that one out and try it, which is probably going to make the gamers' heads explode because they're two completely different games. But if my memory serves, they're both done by Blizzard, so we'll see. We'll try that one first, just for funsies, and because I don't think anyone even knows I've got it. I don't even think it's on my 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗸𝗺, which is a visual library where I've got all of my decks catalogued. I think I just lazily didn't put it on there because it doesn't really see much use, I'm not gonna lie. Well, it's a big deck, I should probably part those a little more. So, if anyone is familiar with the game Destiny, then they will know that within Destiny there was a portion of the storyline, or there is a portion of the storyline, where cards come into play, and it's actually called the Deck of Whispers. Well, I think they probably did it for like a game festival or a Comic-Con or something, or maybe just to make some money probably. It comes in a really cool box. Mine actually got damaged, but I'm forever trying to fix the bit that got damaged. It was only a little bit here. But it comes in this really cool box and has a baggie as well that says Cartomancer on one side and Deck of Whispers on the other. And so it's concepts and characters from the game. Now, fortunately, I've gone through with my brother and got him to explain the few that I don't recall seeing, watching, hearing of. Also, my partner played this game a lot, and I am one of those people that will watch the people I love play games. So I'm actually very familiar with who the witch is and all of the lore behind them. And I thought, even though these are two franchises, that more energetically and sort of thematically they might complement each other, because the thing about these fantasy games is there is actually a lot of conflict going on. There's a lot of magic that's included in the way that people and all of the individuals navigate stuff. So I just felt like thematically it might fit. Ingrid, I used to love lore books for writing prompts and storytelling as a kid. Yes, I totally get it. So the King of Swords with the Witch and the Five of Swords. I mean, the Witch does have quite a torrid story from memory, so I feel like, and there's sort of that layer of like mental anguish. I would say that there's probably like some in-game meanings to these cards, but I more went on the character and plot associations when I was going through them with my brother. So we've got the Liminal with the Emperor and the Six of Swords. I mean, it does work. It's not giving me something crazy strong message wise straight away, but I will confess, obviously, well, I say obviously, you probably don't know, I record on my phone, and so I can't get to I've got my other one here though. I would pull up the notes that I took for this deck to use it, because I haven't used it in forever. So Deck of Whispers, and can't find it, so I'm not going to bore you waiting for me whilst I find out what on earth it means. No, but it's in there somewhere. And my brother's coming round the day after his birthday this week, I believe, so otherwise I'll make him take me through it again. We've got the King of Pentacles, Ascension, Ten of Swords. Oh, that's really interesting. I like that idea. If I'm just literally going to go from Ascension in terms of the concept, which is not something that I work with because I don't know that humans can ascend as such. Like I'm not one of those who ascribes to that or prescribes to that sort of belief, but I understand the concept. But I think we can ascend from certain things, you know, we grow, we evolve, we shapeshift. And the 10 is such a completion card that I feel like there's a movement from the analysis paralysis or heightened state that comes with almost being at the end of an experience that perhaps has intellectually or conceptually, like within our mind, really stimulated it to the point that it's been exhausting, because this is very Rider-Waite-Smith, so I would honour the style of deck and sort of come back into our own in our body. And also this tells me that I have the power to do this. Like, it would feel quite reaffirming, as this is really think of Lenormand, you know, when they say like positive, neutral, negative, I feel like these are more sort of like positive leaning, that's more negative. So overall it's outweighed. Let's have another one. Oh, I don't mind these decks together, you know, but how do you work with a deck with 12 cards? I suppose if you're only pulling one though, every time I'm reading with it, actually, aside from getting a lot of repeats, it will make me very familiar with it. This one has got me in the feels. Also, I love that we have this creature that is the Ŵish. I remember looking at these creatures, and then my brother got me to watch the whole story about them, which was fun. And we've got these here, and it sort of feels like they're mirroring each other. The Ace of Swords feels like the concept of wishing in the mind, and the Five of Pentacles, if I was really going to be honest with what I get from this, and it will be the last one I do with this because they're hitting me quite quickly, so I'm like, oh, okay. But it's I'm, like I said, I've had some new health stuff that's taken me into the new year, which is not what you want for the new year. And I feel like I find myself in this space again, like the Ŵish and the storyline to do with the Ŵish, because I'm sure that there's two of them and they like try and find each other, or there's something about it being said. I just remember it being like a really precious, really powerful, poetic storyline, and quite heartfelt. Yeah, brothers and games, and they do work together well, don't they? I like it. So we're gonna take this one out if anyone's curious, because I don't feel like this deck gets shown very much. So we've got the Truth, Blades, Lacuna, the Lie, the Sisters, one of my favourites, the Harbinger, Lament, and finally the Adherent, which hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. Hi Yashi, I hope that I've pronounced your name correctly, but do let me know if I've not. I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling very low today. Perhaps you've got a bit of the wintry blues like the rest of us, or perhaps it's something else. But hopefully this will cheer you up. If nothing else, it will keep you entertained, because I'm now trying to decide what to do next. See, I'm sort of torn, because one of my very gamey decks is the Citadel Oracle. I feel like this is going to be a... what's the word that I want? I am getting it out though. I feel like it's going to be a visual ick, but not because either deck is icky. I love them. I just think it's going to be so busy. So busy. I'm already looking at it and I'm like, But it's very gamer, fantasy gamified, the Citadel, in my humble opinion. It's very much like, even if you read the book and the like the guidebook and about the creation, there is a significant amount of that. Let's bump up this side of the pack quickly. And I just feel like conceptually, again, that might be nice energetically, like it might make sense. I'm going to take a few off the top here as well because that irritates me. So let's have a look. Oh, it is 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗕𝗃. It looks less so in yours, but that's because I feel like this is looking quite gold, and actually the Citadel is copper. So we've got 2 of Swords, 6 of Pentacles. 6 of Pentacles, by the by, a really good example of one of the cards where I was saying the borders are so off. And they were in both decks. The first one with a missing card and now this one. But grand scheme of things. Also, weirdly, same cards, pretty much. So you loved the scissors in the tailor. Yes, they're very beautiful. They would have been fun, wouldn't they, if I'd have left them on top for the 2 of Swords. But we've got the 2 of Swords, the Runaway, and the 6 of Pentacles. Running from problems. Maybe this would make me think about taking the rethinking my decisions, because the sort of duality between the choice in the 2 of Swords means that I've probably followed something through or communicated something, and perhaps it wasn't the best option out of the 2 of those. And going really on the artwork and being a bit more playful with the 6 of Pentacles is almost like the expectation in this instance, rather than being the person who brings and shares the wealth, the health, the abundance, whatever's going on. It's actually expecting other people to do that for us. So that's kind of what I would get initially from those 2. Visually, it's a challenge because my brain is going, there's lots of white and there's lots of beige. And I do that sometimes, but with decks like the Somnia Tarot and the Seashell Oracle, where it's really just a border. So here we've got the 3 of Swords, the Alchemist, and the 5 of Cups. I do like that though. Balance, invention, and destruction. And I love the concept of invention and alchemy for the 3 of Swords and the 5 of Cups. And I tell you for why, is sometimes when we're emotionally in a bad place, that's the thing that then feeds into the way that we're thinking about things, perhaps the world, perhaps relationships, whatever it is. And sometimes it sort of alchemizes into something that's far bigger than what it started off as. So we start to do that sort of magical thinking, but in an unhelpful way, like telling our fortune and sort of assuming that we know that everything's going to be terrible. And it's quite a destructive thing that occurs when we're in this space in particular. And this is also, look, no heart. I mean, it is still very Rider-Waite-Smith, but there isn't a heart in this. They've gone for the colour instead, and I really respect that. Nix13 says, I also have a white versus beige thing going. Right? I don't mind the occasional white deck, but I don't mind a white border or sort of like monochromatic, but I have to say this, I'm a bit partial to the beige. I do, but I feel like this is working energetically, and I am one of those people that more and more over the years have lent towards the energetic over the visual. So let's try another one. Page of Wands. So really get the creative cusp, the most excitable bit, I feel like. The Sailor's new influences, which if we think about wands as the, you know, one of the cliche things that they're associated with is kind of naivety, which isn't always the case, but there is sort of like a fresher perspective coming in a page that would be different from like a king or queen. And then Wanderlust with the 6 of Cups. Wanderlust, nostalgia, the boat that actually we've got sort of like a watery feel here, and then the reds coming in. I'm not mad at it, I have to say. Yes, the blue red of the 6 of Cups and Sailor, it pleases my eye too, Ingrid. Definitely. Try one more. The Knight of Wands, absolutely one of my favourite cards. I do kind of wish that this sort of visual was in some of the Pentacles courts. This works for me, most definitely for the Wands card. I think the Page of Pentacles is like a really deep red, and I do a lot of colour work as well. And that, and the way that I read the person's body language and all that's going on, even though the character or class, I can't remember which one, is probably quite fitting, it just feels a little bit more aggressive than I'm used to. And I was like, strange choice. But I freaking love this. So we've got Knight of Wands with the Centennial, determination and certainty. Yes, so we're moving up from because we had the page before. So we're moving up from the more gentle naivety into having a really clear direction, which of course we can see based on the bow and arrow. And then I feel like the Sentinel, I don't know if I pronounced that properly the first time, it's sort of got like a suggestion that this is going to be very emotionally fulfilling. Gives me a little bit of a success vibe, although probably too early doors for that. Maybe I'll do one more just to solidify. Also, you'll see, like, don't expect to see colours that mimic the suit. The colours throughout this, because it's quite a, what's the word I want? A reduced colour palette. I can't think of the word that I want. You're going to see greens in the Wands and reds in the Pentacles, and it doesn't distract me at all, but just for the sake of speaking to it, we've got finally the Queen of Pentacles, the Four of Cups, the Musician, inspiration and gratitude. And I do feel like the Four of Cups is a great moment to have gratitude and to work on gratitude, especially if we're feeling apathetic but at all. And the Queen of Pentacles suggests that we have enough within and perhaps around us to access to make something that makes us feel, what's the word that I want? You know, not that material things are everything, although health is, but music is one of those things that sort of fills things with life and it uplifts me a lot of the time if it's the right music. You know, it can really, the right rhythm and the right sort of resonating energy as well is really nice for the body. And I don't know how to explain it, because words and sickness probably wasn't my best day to come on and try and do a zillion mini readings at once, but I'm gonna carry on. There's just something about them. I feel like it gives me sort of bard vibes as well, or there's something nurturing about the person that comes in that's the musician, you know? They sort of hold space, as in they tailor it and they shape and shift it in a way where they're still sharing it with everyone, you know? They're not taking it from someone else, but often they're trying to convey something. And I think about coming together in the taverns and things like that in World of Warcraft, and the musician being like a key central point and sort of like fostering that nurturing good vibe, which the Queen of Pentacles is really good at creating. So yeah, I like that. You're getting Wizard of Oz vibes from the books ones. Oh, I like it. So we're going to take this deck out now. I have to say, really impressed with the first two decks. Choosing further decks is going to be difficult because we can't do all of them, I don't think. Does this tell me how long I've been on for? Wow, you've already done 40 minutes with me, my peeps. Let's have a think. I'll tell you very quickly some of the other decks that I've got with me. I've got two rune decks. One's an animal, one's called the Green Glyphs. I just had a feeling that runes might work with this deck, because often I mean, people know, they've seen runes get filtered into so much. Anything Viking, anything game-wise like this, they love it. Anything witchy or magical to make things sort of... they've become, at least in sort of movie and art, a way to make things look like more arcane and magical and sacred and stuff. And I'm not saying the runes aren't, but obviously we see them used over and over and over and over again. I work with the runes, albeit very much from a I'm not a newbie, because it's been like 4 years, but I'm definitely not intermediate. So whatever you want to squish between those two. So I have a lot of reverence and love for the runes. So yeah, I have my rune decks. I have the Oracle of Oddities out. I don't think that that's going to go visually. I've got Coastal Curiosities Mini, Whispering Woods. I've got the Earthbound Oracle Seekers Lenormand. And then I'm going to pop one in the middle, but if anyone thinks that any of those decks that I've mentioned might be a good one, let me know. For now, I'm going to cut this deck because it's massive, and we're going to have a little look at these together. So this is the Compendium of Constellations. Is the box anywhere? No. So predominantly I thought that this would be more of like a colour match situation, and the Compendium of Constellations is very open to interpretation. One keyword, colour work is available if we want to do it. If we don't have to do that. The Chariot was a huge raid boss. Every rogue fought in their guild for the weapons. Yes. Let's have a look at who they are, shall we? Because it will actually tell us as well. The Chariot is... This is embodied by Illidan Stormrage, whose good intentions of protecting Azeroth saw him walk the line of both hero and villain, champion and monster, prisoner and jailer. Badass. I like it. It also says the Chariot symbolises many things. Traditionally, the driver is one enlightened by the highest powers, yet also grounded in mortal affairs. The forces that draw their chariot are the embodiment of light and chaos, and the driver must keep both reined back in equal measure. That's interesting. And I like that the Chariot, we've got a character who had wings, and I feel like you could either think about the wings as the Chariot, or we could even think about one facet of it being their wings and how that guides him, and then the other part, his swords, and how they're more like the material facet of what it was talking about. But I feel like this is going to be a really easy one to use it with, because like I said, it's quite spacious. So we've got plot from the sextons between the Page of Swords and Chariot, which, I mean, that works. And I did just split the deck, so plotting out a chart, you know, working your course, being really, really driven. Let's have a look. What else do we have? Oh, that's interesting. The Devil, Wisdom from Lupus, and Six of Wands. I feel like, and of course I'm sort of in World of Warcraft mode, so I'm going to be using words that I wouldn't usually use, like battle and stuff. But, because, you know, on a regular day, the only thing I'm battling is pain. Aside from that, I'm not really out doing heroes work. But I feel like if we want the victory and that fire, and also there's in the Six of Wands for me, there's also a moment where we command something as well. Like we've gone from that moment of growth in the first three, and we've evolved into really commanding that. So it's like do I want synergized? Something like that. It's evolved into like the next layer. But you can see there's eyes behind. And you could interpret that either way, unless you know that this is a scene, and then do what you will. But I feel like the wisdom in this is that's where the devil comes in. It's like you really need to know how far like you can push yourself or others and where the line is, because otherwise, if you're really just going for glory above all else, it's probably going to be really hard to get to the Six of Wands. Not going to have that feeling at all. And so the wisdom is in the knowing, in the tempering, in the charting a course that is going to be more energetically effective, and also going to align with our output and what is accessible to us, as opposed to sort of getting outside of ourselves with expectations and then driving to the point of burnout, which of course is not going to get us that Six of Wands energy either. I love the Devil card. Oh, so pretty. I am actually really enjoying this deck a lot more than I thought I would. So I'm glad I took a punt on it. I'm also enjoying the fact that like I can see the pink here and the blue here. So I feel like we've got a little bit of colour complementary stuff going on. We've got the Tower Ascend from Volans. Just don't trust my pronunciation, folks, you know that, right? And then the Five of Wands. Oof, well, these two are definitely a mood. Very energetically chaotic, challenging, turbulent, you know, that kind of stuff. And then this feels a little bit more uplifting. So I don't know whether we might read this in one situation as like ascending from this, as in once we fall, there isn't really anything else left unless we just lay there to get back up again, so to speak. Or if this has happened, we've had a really massive tower moment, and we could just stay in this phase where we're then pissing and shitting and moaning about it and creating quite a chaotic environment, or engaging with a chaotic environment that was created from this, that we don't even need to, that literally, you know, not my monkey, not my circus kind of thing. And we are being advised to sort of ascend on from this. Things have to get better after this. Yes, exactly. That was the vibe I was getting. Ooh, look at the blues and purples coming through in both. With the Star, Learn from Ursa Minor, and Page of Cups. I mean, I don't know how many micro readings I can do, folks, but I'm just going to say that I love these ones. I love this. And I can't help myself. See, I do feel like we learn from the Star, because my biggest thing that I've learned from the Star is the power of sort of, I guess, facilitating trust in oneself to navigate even when feeling hopeless, and still trying to do the thing. And I know a lot of people say the Star, it comes with hope. Usually it shows up for me, and I would argue for most people, when we're feeling hopeless, unless it's like a really uplifting reading altogether. But I feel like it's taught me, reminded me a lot, rather, because it couldn't teach me on its own, but reminded me a lot about what can be done within hopelessness in and of itself, without just pretending that we're not hopeless. And that is sort of the lesson, and it's a very vulnerable Page of Cups lesson for me, for sure. Let's have a look, see at one more. How am I enjoying all of these together so far? Oh, and we've got purple, and we've got purple here, and then the yellow sort of complements both. This Knight of Cups is very sunny looking as well, which I'm loving. I'm loving the, at least for this knight in particular. Also, look at their horse with a skeletal leg. Very cool. I'm loving that they are not obviously gendered, or if they are, we're sort of not seeing it held to one specific thing in all the knights and stuff like that. So I'm enjoying that. Obviously, they didn't do that in the Emperor and Empress, but I have noticed it in a few of the other cards. The Sun, Protect, the Knight of Cups. Lovely. I actually really like these two together. What to try next? I mean, I could throw these in very quickly, but I don't think that they're going to be as complementary. So I have the Earthbound Oracle mixed in with the Seeker's Lenormand because they're same size, same artist. And throughout the whole deck, conceptually, there's only a repeat like once, I believe. I do feel a bit bad I've been zoomed out this far this whole entire time, but if anyone's watching this back, you can just like pinch and zoom in now on YouTube. All of my picks and pairs have been great so far, even convinced me of the Citadel. Right. I will take that, thank you. I'm quite impressed that the Citadel was a working one. Like, yay, yay. I can feel my snot coming on now. Beautiful timing, but I'll probably call this like an hour because no one wants to watch more than an hour. So again, they look okay with each other. Let's see how Judgment, Terror, Two of Pentacles. Have to say though, really not enamoured with the Judgment card at all. Also, I can't remember who, what, when, where. So that could be a part of it. So I'm just going to skip on from that one. The world reflects the Three of Pentacles. See, now I like that though. I don't think that they look as good together as the Compendium of Constellations. But because, again, I've leaned into the cheekiness of utilising the backgrounds, which are mostly beige, you do get these kind of more pinky hues in these, whereas a lot of my other decks are more sort of like, I guess, like standard beiges, because they're woods and things like that, so less pink. But I love the idea, and also the fact that we've got 3 leaves in Reflect and then the Three of Pentacles, I really think is quite powerful. I also feel like the World card is the ultimate moment of reflection as well as enjoyment and arrival, if it's in its obviously best position. And again, depending on what it's surrounded by. But I feel like it's a really important thing that's really easy to miss. And actually, sometimes I've seen people sort of do readings, and when the World card comes up, it's like it's brushed over really, really quickly. And how can we brush over such a significant archetype? You know, because it is one of the majors. So yeah, the World has sort of 3 key points here, and then we've got the 3 smaller ones. So you're right, Ingrid, there is mirroring. There's a lot of mirroring going on. Here, the Ace of Wands, the key, the Four of Pentacles. I mean, I can weave the key into pretty much everything. And I do feel like, whilst aesthetically it's not my favourite of all of them by any means, the reason I picked this out is I felt like they would be tools, objects and items that these characters would often have in their satchels and things like that. Yeah, exactly. Ingrid made a lovely point there about key to the chest as well. And also, I do love that, Ingrid. And also then, or environments that they would see, you know, like seasonally and stuff like that. So I feel like, again, for this sort of adventuring type of deck, oh, look, those colours look great together. For this adventuring deck, I feel that they make sense, you know. These characters might even have this deck. That's sort of how I feel. So I love that this one almost looks like the cutout of the book, and also the fact that we had the key and then we've got a book with literally a keyhole in it. Gotta love that. 2 of Wands, book, 9 of Wands. It's really interesting to think of book as knowledge, and the things we gain and how that advances us over time. And in that advancement, when we gain knowledge, sometimes we lose stuff as well, because we lose the ignorance of not having it before. And sometimes that's just as painful as it is useful. I'm sorry about the bottom glare today, by the way, folks. I normally would position myself to avoid that, but here we have it. I remember the little panda characters coming in. I don't think I played them for very long. I did try them with Monk until I went back to Night Druid, but like I said, I was really boring and I just love my Night Druids. I played a human for all of 5 seconds. What else have I definitely have played... Oh, I've played a bunch of things anyway. There's like a werewolf character, 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗵, is that how you pronounce that? But yeah, Night Elf. 3 of Wands, Healing, and Ace of Cups. Oh, I love that. And look, 3 arrows, 3 wands. Nice. Oh, okay, well, I'm just going to assume that's where I needed to pick it up. Oh, how funny. It was the other home card anyway. That's interesting, but this one is a better colour fit, which just makes me even happier. Pandas were after your time. I really think you'd have enjoyed the area and the beginning panda storyline, Lennox, I have to say, but also we can grieve together, and you may be one of only a few people who genuinely understand and empathise when I grieve about it, because people are like, it's just a game. And I'm like, well, it's not, because it was my whole body and health changed. That's why I can't play it. But also, so what if I was just grieving a game? So yeah, that's how I feel about it. Magician, home, 7 of Wands. Yes, because not only do we want to protect our home is part of us mentally, but also the Magician is a good reminder of all of the tools that we innately have within us, and our vessel, as it were, is our home. So one more. What we got? The Fool. The Fool message, 8 of Wands. Oh, solid. Yes, Tortoise coming up in Tortoise month on Patreon is awesome as well. If anyone wonders why we're saying that on my Patreon, that's the animal that we're working with, for the animal part of the Patreon anyway. I mean, it couldn't be more clear, could it? What's interesting is it's almost like we're gonna perhaps have to embrace the Fool in order to honour this message, or the message is going to take us back to this spot. So it's perhaps going to be a little bit unearthing, as it were. Ooh, I like those. Oh, we've nearly done an hour, so let's try a rune deck, shall we? It's difficult because one of the rune decks I think is going to go better. And one of the rune decks I think people probably will enjoy seeing more because it's not been out, or it's not seen a lot. So I'm going to let whoever's in the chat and wants to chime in pick. What one should we try it with last? The green, sorry, I should spin it over so you can actually see some artwork on there. Should we try it with the Animal Guide rune cards or the green Glyph runes? I genuinely don't mind. I'm going to try it with the other one later. And thank you, Ingrid. You're a star. I'm glad the quality is held out. And for those watching back, I very much appreciate it's not quite to the clarity of when you get the beautiful pre-recorded high def. But the live quality isn't too bad. And this disabled witch needs some accessibility sometimes, and lives are so much easier. Okay, Lennox spoke first, so we're going for the animal one. You are going to be seeing the animal one more in its fuller form coming up on my channel probably in a month or 2, because I'm going to be reviewing it. If you're on my Patreon in the Coven tier, spoiler, you're going to be seeing that with a lot of glorious rune stuff at the end of this month. But because I've been doing a whole study with the deck as well as getting to know it, because I was sent it for review, I haven't wanted to rush it. So let's have a look. I'm not pronouncing the rune names because some of them I don't do justice to, and it genuinely upsets me because I feel really disrespectful when I do rune work by myself. If I'm doing any of it and I'm vocalizing it for whatever reason, I often listen to some of my favourite people talk about the runes and get the name pronunciation so I can repeat it. but honestly my retention for the pronunciations has been quite dreadful. Hey, fantastic beast. The animal one attracted you as well, Ingrid. I'm glad. So here we've got the Four of Swords and the Four of Wands. What an interesting contrast. I remember these little creatures. Oh, they are hilarious. But I remember having to take out quite a lot of them at one of the beach bits to get through a certain part of a quest line, and they were just materializing one after another, and I was like, come on now, come on. But they are very funny. Whereas here we've got a beautiful dragon. I'll try not to think about the 𝗕𝗎𝗄 or 𝗕𝗎𝗄 vibes for that, because again, whilst I don't think it's her, it's a mood. It's a mood. But we've got this between love, gift, and unity, which is a really great concept for, like, I guess, the gift in the four. Fours are very stabilizing, very foundational. And in that, when they're in their best position, so what I mean is, some people read upright and reversal. Some of us read more in terms of context, surrounding cards, considering like blocks and challenges, and, you know, we allow the context to let us know, so we just don't have the reversals in the deck, so to speak, but the energy is still there. And this tells me that this is a very stabilizing experience. Just to add a note, which I will do when I do a review of this deck as well, this is the only animal that's like a hybrid animal, and it's between a fox and a deer, and it's because the two creators, one, I don't know if it's like a animal messenger connection or a cute thing that they've done because they like animals, or a mixture of both, but one is the deer and one is the fox, and so the unity of the two of them together is represented here through this fox-deer hybrid creature. Which in itself feels like a celebration and a gift, and also a really peaceful moment, which brings the Four of Swords in as well. It's a moment where our minds can really like be at ease without going 100 miles an hour, and without having to do this and do that and say this and say that. You know, I just feel like it's quite a peaceful, meditative space almost. So artistically, nothing like each other. But like I said, I felt like the runes would work. I just felt like they would. I'm only going to show a couple because we've gone over the hour. We've got two. Oh, look though. Look. Just firstly, hello, favourite rune. I have a necklace of this one. The rune is actually, this one's far more subtle, I'm surprised, but the rune is here in the light. And in this one, it is very commonly associated with the antlers and the deer or stag. So this is a very spot-on animal. Not all of them have animal association, so of course the creators have had to get a little bit more creative. But we've got the colour from the Two of Cups within, and then the outside of this, we've got the moon colours. So we've got this duality and this holding of the two concepts within this, bringing them together. How can we protect the connections that feed us the most? How can we ensure that we're considering, I guess, as much of the layers of consciousness as we can? This actually, what it reminds me of as well, is sometimes when I'm really stressed out, I have really bad relationship dreams. And I'm sure I'm not alone in the world. And that comes from a fear in, obviously, a layer, and from just lifelong trauma, but a fear not with my partner, to make that very clear, by the way. But you know, childhood trauma, not lifelong. It's sort of like something that sits in the recesses of our shadow, our unconscious, things like that, submerges when we're asleep. And it's sort of then a dance between reality and fear-based stuff. And I'm not saying none of it is relevant, but it's an interesting concept to move with guidance and care through that. Also, can we take a moment, because when do we see the Two of Cups represented like this very much? And I just really love this. I just really love this wholesome embrace between these two and how they represented this card, and was genuinely quite surprised, and then felt sad that I was surprised to see this. So I just thought I would shout out the Two of Cups for absolutely repping in this deck. Beautiful, beautiful. And you can read it how you want. Friendship, love, romantic love, friendship, love, etc. I like how both tarot have the light circle and the rune has the multiple circles. Oh, let's have a... Oh, yes, they did. Oh, beautiful. And then this one, 10 of Pentacles, conflict, anger, rivalry, Knight of Swords. I have to say, I feel like, and again, this is something that we'll talk about in the review of this deck, but sometimes I would have a couple of different keywords to go in with the runes than others, and then I feel like then the rune's very fitting contextually, whereas sometimes going off the keywords doesn't work for me. And I've been reviewing the deck quite thoroughly to work out how many fit for me versus how many don't, and also how I feel the animal complements the runes, and if I see animal gnosis and rune work sort of meeting or not. So let's have a look at one more. The Empress, the Queen of Swords, and 𝗬𝗲 with success, triumph, and fame. I'm not mad at it. Again, it's more of an energetic thing. I don't think it's the best pairing, but it's a workable pairing, if that makes sense. So best being that reading runes and tarot together is always a little bit of a challenge, in my humble opinion. And it's always my favourite thing to use the actual runes, but I really love this conceptually. And I love rune decks for study. I'm very visual, they help a lot. That's why I like to work out if I connect with the keywords or not as an essence of the rune, because I don't want to learn things that don't make sense to me. So, you know, I've been marking down, and say if fame didn't fit for me in this instance, then I make a mental note of it and I note it in my rune journal so that it's not a part of my sort of attempt to retain all of this information. But artistically, they're sort of, I feel like some of them have gone together really well, although we do have like a very sun vibe going on here and up here, so I love that. Big hello from Germany. Just saw an interview with you on another channel and instantly fell in love with your work. You're so very sympathetic. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm really curious. Interview. I think I've done 3 channels. So it's either got to be a 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗄, Julie from Peekaboo Rose. Who else's channel have I been on over the years? I do think I was on Martin's channel once as well. Oh, well, I'm glad. It was 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗄, right? Okay, awesome. 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗄, who, by the by, if anyone is loving us together, we are coming back for some more videos this year, so keep an eye out for that. I'm really quickly and cheekily just going to show you why I thought that this would go. Because, look, it's a little bit more pared down, but occasionally it does have some really, like, strong colours thematically. Oh, look, and of course, it's the High Priestess colours. So this is 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗄𝗆. I said I wasn't going to pronounce them, didn't I? Between the High Priestess and the Page of Pentacles. I don't mind that together, actually. And that is the green glyphs. I'm curious, what do people think now that they've seen the World of Warcraft? I appreciate we didn't get through all of the cards, but we've seen a lot of them. Do you see why the Page of Pentacles? I love the roots. I felt like it was just a tiny bit more, I don't know. I just want to say aggressive, but it must just be the way I'm reading it. Like, and it feels very Wandsy to me, even though there's roots, even though I know the idea of what's going on here. It does feel very Wandsy to me, I'm not gonna lie. But other than that, I feel like it's a very fun one. It's fun but readable. Oh, look. Oh, and this, and as you can see, not shuffled brilliantly. 9 of Swords, one of my absolute favourite cards, but probably just because of the colours more than anything else. Just absolute deliciousness the whole way through. I really, really have enjoyed it. So Lennox is saying seems solid. Ingrid's saying good spontaneous deck buy. Thank you. Gotta have one every now and then. I'm going to wrap up there so that this has some replayability if anyone does fancy it. So what I am going to say is a big, deep, grateful gratitude and thank you to those of you who watched live, especially the people who spoke, especially Lennox and Ingrid for being double involved. I thank you. It's nice to have the company. Also, Fantastic Beast, you're very welcome. And yeah, the World of Warcraft deck, just absolute treasure. So very happy with that. Have a lovely whatever the rest of your day is, afternoon, morning, I don't know. Here in the UK it's about to turn 6. I'm going to go off and make myself some soup for dinner because that's my rock star lifestyle. Thank you all. Bye. I say bye. Let me work out how to turn it off. There we go. Bye.